And as I said in my remarks, we seem to be entering a testing period in many dimensions, to a test of the resilience of the global economy and the resilience of our innovations in global governance post the financial crisis.
So what the challenge that facing global economy
Oh,
and
there are
in the era of
many, many, many levels. One, of course, is that growth has been slower than hoped for and anticipated. The advanced economies are growing more slowly than their long-term average, even though they have never made up the ground lost in the recession, the Great Recession in 2008 and 9. For the emerging market and developing economies, their growth has now just slowed back to their long-term average after a period of stronger growth. And that's reflected especially in the slowing of the Chinese economy. So that's one challenge. There's an overarching theme, which is weakness in global investment, that has been resulting in a slowdown in productivity growth and apparent reduction in potential growth. So that's another area of concern. Yet another, of course, is on the one hand, the structural changes of Brexit that call into question what will happen in Europe, the U.S. election and an apparent change, certainly in U.S. policy toward trade negotiations and perhaps in other areas as well. So finally, we've had a period of historically accommodated monetary policy in the key central banks of the advanced economies, and we're about to reach a new point in which the Federal Reserve is clearly indicated it will begin a period of tightening rates and been accompanied with a rise in U.S. long-term rates after a long period of historically low yields, in a context in which that's going to produce divergence in monetary policy between the Fed and the other major central banks. That will also be another form of a resilience test.
And how do you see Qatar economy?
The Qatar economy?
Yeah.
Well, it's very heavily dependent, of course, on the market for hydrocarbons, which, of course, has been extremely volatile in the past few years, but appears to have stabilized for now. So that's favorable. And of course, the Qatari economy is going to be in the hydrocarbon business as far as the eye can see. And as we just heard this morning in a very interesting session on hydrocarbons, there's little doubt that there's going to be substantial demand for the consumption of hydrocarbons in the world economy. So in the medium term, that remains a favorable one for Qatar. Obviously, the context of the Middle East and the geopolitical challenges in the region are something to think about, but in the current circumstances, obviously it's not as favorable as when energy prices were extremely high, but is still, Qatar is going to flourish as long as the world economy continues to move in a favorable direction.
Also, Qatar, like an other GCC country, conduct approach to diversify its economy, to no more rely
Yes.
on hydrocarbon. To what extent this approach will?
Well, I'm not a great expert on the details, so I'm sure that's a worthy outlook, and I'm sure that by developing human resources can create a favorable environment for innovation and development of new businesses with this reassuring backdrop that Qatar is going to be a beneficiary of the ongoing demand for hydrocarbons.
my last question. Will we say that the world economy will be changed after Trump elected?
We don't know. Uh, the you can see the immediate financial market reaction is an expectation that Trump's policies are going to result in somewhat stronger economic growth in the U.S. That's a very short-term look. We'll have to see what policies are actually developed, and let's be hopeful that this will be that the Trump administration will be able to unblock important policy gridlock that has characterized the U.S. governance for the past many years, and that when it's unblocked, that things move in a favorable direction.
Okay, thank you. Mr.
Thank you.
Abdulaziz.